Hello, hello, it's Barb Pask. I'm going to paint for you. I'm going to try to put into practice some of the things I learned from my workshop. That's my goal. As you can see, I've got my bright, it's a little crooked, my bright tone canvas here. And it's orange at the top because the sky is blue, that's a compliment. And the bottom is a lot of green. I didn't do it specifically for this scene. If I had, I would guess I'd throw some green in the middle because this is a barn and the complement to the red would be green. So this is one of the pictures I took. I think it's in Wisconsin. There were a lot of barns. I have cropped it to fit the 8x10 format. So we'll start off like it's like I would start off normally too. We're going to get it sketched in with paint, but push it a little further and try to do a bit more of a value study. One of the tools that she used that I own, and you see me use the rubber knives that I like by Catalyst. This is also by Catalyst. It's a kind of a flexible, I don't even know what you'd call it. I bought it for like cold wax medium. People use it for that kind of thing, mixed media, but she uses it a lot. As she's putting her sketch on, she'll cut in, she'll remove things with it. So I put it out here. Maybe we'll try to make use of that too. So also, if you recall, I bought the Gamblin solvent-free gel. She had that on her list, and I took that along. She actually did not use that. She used this, the fluid, and she would dip into the fluid with her brush. You know, same product, only it's runnier, I imagine. So I put a little bit of that out in a cup too. I have for years and years and years worked with water mixable oils. If you follow me, you know that. I did it to get away from the solvent. There's a lot of ways you can work now and do that. A lot of people do not use solvent. They use safflower oil, walnut oil. There's a lot of things you can use to clean your brushes and not have solvent out. So, you know, maybe that's the way it could have went, but I didn't at the time. So, but never say never. You never know. At some point I may be back to traditional oils. Wasn't much of a transition for me. I like them a lot. I didn't notice much of a difference. All right, so let me look at my photo here and think about, I use my brush and I lay it on my image and see where things land vertically, horizontally. You know, is it a third of the way? You know, it's just another tool. So I'm looking at the tree line in the back, and it's about a third of the way up, if I had to guess, something like that. Okay. There's a bit of a barn that runs off. I don't even know, piece of a building there. Okay, let me see where the peak of the barn is in relation to my photo. It's actually pretty close to half. Half would be about there. The barn is not dead centered, but the peak of it is pretty close. Now, if I got it high enough in the sky, let's see. That very peak is about, maybe a little higher. Maybe more up in there. So my goals after the workshop, number one is to slow down and try to get things correct before I begin painting. I'm very good about that with my pet portraits, and I think they're pretty successful. I would never start a pet portrait without having a complete sketch and everything in the right place. The eyes in the right place. I mean, I just never would. But sometimes when I'm doing a landscape or even a still life, I don't do a lot of a sketch, and maybe I need to slow down and do a better sketch. So when you do a workshop, you always, that's the idea of it, to question what you do and think, can I do it better? Okay, I'm looking, there's a silo right here. It goes straight up. Let me see where that is in relation to my roof line. There's also a couple vents that stick up. There were some cute barns, I got to tell you, up in Wisconsin, some that I'd never seen here in Ohio. Silos that had concrete tops on them. I'd never seen that before. I can see that I've got a little hair from my brush caught in there. I used a fairly cheap brush to put the acrylic paint on, and did I get him? Can't tell. I think he's gone. You can see the a lot of paint. And I don't want to leave on, I don't want to leave on a lot of dark paint. So we'll wipe it off if we need to. Well, it looks like that hair is still there, but I think it's just... Okay, and a tree comes into a tree here. And then a closer tree here. And again, there's a bit of a building that goes off here. I'm going to be wiping this off. I won't be leaving that much paint on. And then there's a space, and then there's a door, and then it goes down even further yet, the barn, about down to there. I'm famous for shooting pictures through the car windows, and that's how I shot this one. Not always, but a lot, and you don't always get the best pictures that way, See, I do not want to leave that much paint on there. And like I said, she would use this thing all the time. See, and scrape off paint and move paint. She used it even in her painting process. Like I said, I already owned it. I didn't buy it, so we'll try that. Coming out from on the left side, you can't really tell what you're seeing. There's something there. I see some red, so we'll be throwing in some red. And then there's more scruffy stuff. And we will not leave all that paint there. It looks like to me, in the foreground, it's just a field. So we're just, again, I'm just trying to slow down. That's one of the things I told myself. Try to get my sketch more accurate before I start. I think I see another hair on there. You buy these little, they're called chip brushes, and put gesso and stuff on with them, and I can't tell whether there's a hair there or not. But that's a disadvantage too if you lose bristles with them. There's a row of trees in the background there. The sky has a little variation in it, but not much. It's a red barn, but again, this is kind of a value study, so we're blocking it in. And if it's a value study, we'll wipe out that door because that's lighter. I just filled out a survey for the school where I went. It's Peninsula School of Art in Fish Creek, Wisconsin. Wonderful place if you get the opportunity to go up there. We were in a beautiful brand new building for the workshop. There's several buildings on the property, but great experience. And we had a condo right next door. I would leave every day and my husband didn't have to pick me up, and walk through the woods and right to the condo. It was really great. I'm trying to, you know, again, think about values. This tree's a little lighter. The top of this is light, and we'll leave it light. Kind of scratch it out. And the barn roof is light, so we're going to leave that light. This area down in here is light too, at the bottom of the barn. Aren't barns interesting, I think, because they're just so different, you know? One from the other, and I love farms too, how they just keep throwing buildings up as they need them. Whole clusters of buildings. This tree, it right here, is lighter than the one back here. We'll go ahead and get it a little darker. This tree's more yellow. So that looks pretty good, I think. I think I've gotten in most of the values that I want. This tree line is darker in the photo, but I'll think about that because usually to make things go in the distance, there's a lot of atmosphere between you and them, and usually you would go lighter and cooler to make them recede. So even though, I'll show you the photo again, even though in the photo that tree line, see, is fairly dark back there, I may not paint it that way. I probably will cool it off, you know. So let's wipe some of that off so I don't have to contend with that. So again, the way she would start now, where she would go to, is she looks for her lightest lights. There is some very light reflection on this silo, but I'm going to start with the sky. It's pretty light. So we'll lay out some white, and I'm going to go with a little cobalt blue. She used a beautiful blue that I'm going, manganese blue, I think. I'm going to look for that. It really is a beautiful color. And we're going to put, there's a little variation in the sky. And we got a fair amount of sky showing here, don't we? So normally your sky would be darker blue and then lighter as it gets toward the horizon, sometimes a little warmer. So we'll try to vary it. Going to use a number, trying to see what number brush this is. I just ordered some new rosemary brushes. Those are the ones I like. Mine are getting pretty worn out. One thing she doesn't use is a liner brush, which you see me work with sometimes. So what I ordered some new rosemary brushes, and I even ordered a number 1. I don't even know if I own any number 1s. So my idea is to not get the liner brush out, but to get a small brush maybe to work with. Like I asked her about that, if you ever used a liner brush, and she said no. I said, So you would never paint any really tiny detail, like you would never paint like a filigree bench. She said no. She said, but she showed me a painting that she'd done while she was up there, and there were chairs in front. She does everything with brush strokes and keeps it impressionistic. Her best skill, the thing that she does best is her brush work. And I'm telling you, that's a skill on its own. She is confident with her brush work. She lays it down and she leaves it alone. Not that she doesn't make mistakes, because we all do, but her brush work, I'm telling you, that's her biggest skill. So one of the things I'm trying to do is not overwork this. I'm trying to do breaded brush work. That's one of my big goals. A lot of more dry brushing, which is when you lay it on and it skips over. That's the advantage of the tone, and you don't completely cover it necessarily. All right, I'm going to start with the darker blue and work my way down. I'm going to try to leave, I want a lot of this tone showing through. That's why we put it on. And you could do, there's some very subtle shifts. There's no big definite clouds in this, but you could put them for sure if you wanted. And I try to give you a good view, so I'm a little off to the side here, so I swear that looks like a hair in there, I can't tell. Had a birthday a few days ago, and very nice. Went out to dinner with my brother and sisters that live near here, and tonight went out with my daughter, so I celebrated for days. Went to Cheesecake Factory tonight and ate way too much. Whew, they kind of talked me into getting a piece of cheesecake, which I normally wouldn't do. I said, if you'll help me eat it, so we ordered a big piece of, oh my God, Reese cup cheesecake. Wow. So talk about full. I am full. We're getting now into the warmer blue that I mixed, which is a little lighter. I should have that really over here too. Now you got to be careful too that you don't, like I don't want to mirror the shape of this barn as I go around with this lighter color. I'll make sure I don't, but these are those little silo air vent things up here. Again, I'm off to the side, so hopefully I get things straight. That's dry brushing, by the way. This is dry brushing. When you drag it across, see, and you leave all that color show. And you have to decide, how much of that you want to do. If you want to do that at all, maybe you don't. But that's part of the reason to tone a color, is to leave it, show through. We'll kick some of these strokes down too, so we're not catching so much light. Going to Brookville, Indiana this week to paint with a group for 3 days, so I'm excited about that. I've been through there a lot, but never painted there, so it's an old town. All right, let's look where to go next. We've got our sky in. As I look at this photo, the top of the silo is light and the top of the barn. Let me work on this shape a little bit before I go any further. I'd rather cut into it too far and whoops, throwing stuff around here. All right, the silo is at the top of it again is white. One side's catching a little sunlight, so we'll put a little yellow in that part. And the other side we'll put a little blue in. Want to pull it a little darker. Okay, maybe I'll go with a slightly smaller brush because it is a smaller object that I'm painting. And this may not stand out against the sky. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be quite dark enough. We'll put a little bit of our dark mixture in there. I want to get it a little darker. Okay. Try to kind of transition our way over to the light part of it. I'm going to hit this again because I got into the darker stuff. I'm trying to keep it lighter. All right, now we'll move to the barn. Looks like obviously the light's coming from this way. Might be a little early for this, but we're gonna just kind of suggest not even coming off of there, is it? I don't know. We'll go back to that. Okay, the roof, this side of the roof is darker away from the light. Let me look at that a little closer. All right, let's move to the front of the barn. We've already got the value pretty good on it. We're going to make it more of a red color though. So I think I'll just mix my crimson and maybe some cad red light. My goal here again is to not overwork it. You know, we might even vary it as we move around different reds. got to remember as, let's see, we get below here. We've got that door down here. There's a tree right here, so I want to push that up a little bit so it's more the correct shape of the barn. And the door is a lighter color. We'll use her little tool. Yeah, I told you people would say to her when she was painting, you know, they'd ask her questions. Are you thinking about how this leads you into there? And they'd ask, she's like, I'm not thinking, I'm just painting. I'm just painting the photograph, I'm not thinking. And I do actually think more of her thought process went into her sketch than it did when she actually got to painting. See, a lot of times I'd have a little liner brush out for some of this stuff, so. But I guess I could come back and clean it up with the sky color. I don't know how these will end up feeling, if they'll end up feeling like what they are. They kind of go in like that. I don't know, we'll see. And this one is lower than that one. I don't know. All right, let's block in those distant trees. I'm going to mix up a green and I'm going to put some white in it. And the white does cool it off. You know, it's pretty blue. We'll have to decide if we like the feel of that. You know, looking back in there, I do see some warmer colors, and I don't know if it works to put them in or not. We're going to lay in this rook here that we see. Can I even... Actually, I don't see any red here, but I'm going to put a bit in because I want to. All right, let's do this silo. The silo is gray. Okay, so we'll mix up all three primaries. Yellow and red, orange, and put some blue in there to make a gray. One thing she does, and she may have done it just for the class, I'm not sure, is she works from her iPad, but she also had the image printed up so she could hold the photo in her hand. So she had her photo right there to compare things as she sketched. I failed to, I should have asked her if that's something she does all the time. All right, looks like there's a shadow down here on the silo, which would make sense right from the barn. Okay. See, I'm going to put a little oil on that because I'm not really getting any paint off. I'm going to lighten that. I'm going to put just a little more yellow in it as it comes over this side where it's catching light. But I'm going to, she does not blend. That's a bad word to her, but so we won't. We'll just go with that. Okay. A big brush for some of this stuff, but we're trying. Okay, let's get some of these trees in that we see. Back here is darker. again because I took this out of the car window. Some of this information is not as clear as it could be. Some of these barns I pass when we're driving, I think, wouldn't you just love to have that in your neighborhood? I mean, I could just, some of these farms, you could paint there every day the rest of your life. You know, move around it and get different angles. Bit of a darker area there. And she's not a palette knife person. She only uses a palette knife for mixing. But I'll probably never quit using a palette knife. I like a palette knife for certain things. Like that. Fine little line. I keep trying to explain these little things without getting out a liner brush, but that may not work in the long run. I may have to. And usually the way I would do my trees is I would mass them in pretty dark, and then I come back and lay yellow in them. You know, I'll use some of what she does and continue to do some of what I do, you know. I have that brush I bought that's supposed to do tree trunks. We may suggest some tree trunks too, we'll see. I feel as though that could be a little wider. Let's think here. All right, I want to create some depth in this, so that little field back in there. Want to be kind of a cool green. Gets to be more warm as it moves toward us. It's kind of a plowed field here in the foreground. As you can see, I put when we started this, I put some of the darker color in there, kind of create some stripes. Mixing up a fairly dark green, and I put some red in it to gray it. A lot of these farms are kind of like they sit on a peninsula almost. I think they just plow all the way around them. That feels awful saturated. And there was some fall colors up there when we were up there, so I'm going to throw a little orange in this. Yeah, I'm not directly behind this like you are, and I'm looking at the shape. Better. All right, let's think about this foreground. I think we'll throw some warm color in it first. And there is green in there, and there's also kind of a ochre color too. intensity of that. Just feels too blue-green through there. You know, I like to use that rubber knife of mine to, I don't know, let me try. I'm just playing around. See how this completely takes it off, doesn't it? Oh, let's see, is that it? Nope. I was looking for my little rubber knife. I don't know what I've done with it. I can't find it. I had it out at the workshop, but it's made by Catalyst too. You probably seen me use it anyway. It's long handled, and I use it sometimes to paint rather than remove. I use it in the foreground. Well, I don't know where it went. Gotta get myself together before I leave town again, don't I? Anyway, you've probably seen me use it. I scratch into the foreground sometimes, and I don't know. You know, I do this kind of stuff with it. I told her I did that with the one that I had, and she said that's fine. You just don't want to make it look like you're overdoing it and it's, I don't know, gimmicky or something, but you know, with the tone you can do that. And so we're playing around. Like I said, really this is pretty straight across here in my photo, and that is kind of how they do these farms. They use all the land around them, and you look out and the farm is sitting in the middle of fields. You know, there's nothing there. I want to make this look a little more red, like it's another building coming across. And again, there's some red out here. Gosh, I can't even see what that is. I think it's a piece of a building. Doesn't really matter, does it? I wouldn't have to explain everything. I feel like this area down here needs to be a little darker. So again, to make these look correct, I mean, if it's important that they really be the right shape, I'd almost have to get out my liner brush. And I might, we'll see. I keep kind of working on the shape of this roof. I feel like it's a little off. Kind of like that, you know. Trying out the tool. Of course, I'll have to go back in with more paint. No, I got the shape wrong. Really should be a little darker under that lip anyway. And there's some kind of little window up there. And really, with the angle of that light, that little edge would probably be glowing. It's kind of backlit almost. I'm trying to warm up some white. of gives it a bit of a glow there, because that is kind of the direction of the light. Get all the way up to the peak. Let's put a little bit of this here too. Nope, not enough. A little more of a glow there too. And I'm just, thinking these wouldn't be as light over here, though they seem pretty light. But this one would be. We're about to call it here, and we could put tree branches in here if we wanted, and oops, see, that brush is too dirty. I shouldn't be sticking that up there. I don't clean my brushes often, but I was trying to get some clean sky color. All right, well, we'll call that. I'm not completely sure of any of it. The foreground may change. I'm not completely happy with some of that. This is unusual to me, the way this feels. That's the way it is in the picture, but that's kind of different, isn't it? Not sure what we're seeing there. And it might improve it to just take it on down, because it doesn't make sense to the viewer. Well, let's get up and I'll show it to you. It's been exactly an hour. I think I had you pretty much in front of it while we were painting, but take you in. See how I got nice dry brushing over here. You can see the underpainting, and I tried not to overwork anything. Lots of the pink tone there. So here it is. So I'll look at it and see what I think of it. I should probably stand more to paint. I kind of scratched out this line running here, and nah, I don't think that's going to stay. But that feel, of it sitting kind of all by itself, I like that. Okay, so anyway, thanks for taking time to watch. Talk to myself a lot, don't I? And watch for me next time. Like I said, I'll be gone a few days next week, so I'm not sure when I'll paint again. I got a dog sketched out here, so maybe that'll be the next thing we'll do. Okay, you have a great evening. Enjoy me again. Like and subscribe. Good night.